So, Summer's Game Fest was really interesting for me. On one hand, it was great. I saw a lot of cool announcements. On the other hand, I felt like there was a lot of stuff and majority of the things I wasn't necessarily super into. One thing I will say for sure is if you are a Souls-like type player or you like anime-based games, this was the showcase for you. They had everything and more that you would love to play. But as somebody who's kind of like not really a Souls-like player, I do like adventure and action RPGs as well as FPS shooters. There wasn't a whole lot, but I do have a list of some great games that I am super pumped for. I don't want to say it was a terrible Summer's Game Fest like some people say. Just because it's not for you doesn't mean there wasn't great games for other people. I will say, at least for me, I didn't see a ton from like some of the big players like PlayStation, Xbox, as well as like Ubisoft or EA. I'm assuming Ubisoft and EA, for example, are going to be a little bit later down the line. Some big announcements that we didn't really get that we thought we would, things like Gears of War, Fable, whatever is next coming in the PlayStation pipeline. No big heavy hitters, no Battlefield. So, but anyways, I got some other games I want to go into, so let's get into it. With the first one being Clockwork Revolution. This was showcased by Xbox. This is going to be published by the Xbox Game Studio, and this game is a time-traveling steampunk RPG FPS game that really looks inspired by games like BioShock Infinite. I was really surprised by the amount of customization that was in this game that they were showcasing. They actually had a pretty big showcase showing a lot about the game, not just narratively, but also a lot of the different elements and gameplay features that you can do. And then when I saw that sometime in the future, it didn't even say 2026. So we're looking at maybe a 2027 release, which kind of sucks as this was a game that was really on my radar the moment it was announced. I want to say, if it wasn't last year, but 2 years ago. So this game has had a lot in the it has been a long time in the making, and I was expecting potentially a drop this year. But to be fair, I didn't realize the grand scale of what this game was going to be. I did not expect the RPG elements. They showcased a lot of this time rewinding aspect of it. That really interests me. I mean, the fact that you can shoot bullets and then rewind time to get your bullets back, it seems pretty cool. And the fact that you have to go back in the past to change the future. It feels kind of like some sort of sci-fi type movie, which is really interesting. And it looks like a cool little twist to the game. As somebody who's a big Time Splitters fan from back in the day in the 6th gen console generation, I love Time Splitters 2 and Future Perfect. Those were awesome games. And I'm thinking, obviously not exactly a spiritual successor, but it kind of gives me that vibe of the blend between Time Splitters as well as BioShock Infinite with the sort of aesthetics and the look that they're going for. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. And this one is The Expanse. I am a massive fan of the TV show Expanse. I was there since the moment when it was back on Sci-Fi TV. It's the Sci-Fi channel where the budget wasn't that great and you watch the first couple episodes and it was whatever, but then you get into season 2 and then obviously season 3 is when Amazon picks it up and the budget goes through the roof. I am obsessed with the world that they built with The Expanse. I've gotten interested into the books as well as the comics, and this one is going to be a third-person action adventure. So I did not expect this. I did not see this coming out of nowhere, especially from the developers who made games like Warhammer Rogue Traders, which is not necessarily a adventure RPG. So I'm really curious to see how they handle this. I'm praying, I'm hoping that this game is amazing. This is clearly a lot of inspiration from Mass Effect. The creative producer even said so themselves, that a lot of these devs are big fans of the Mass Effect trilogy, and they're hoping to kind of bring that back. So I'm really pumped to see this, and the story is going to be taking place around the same time of what's happening on the TV show. So it's not a complete recreation or retelling of the story. It's something completely brand new, but also happening alongside what's happening with the Rocinante in the TV show. So that's really cool to kind of delve deeper into what's happening. So I'm really excited about that. And they even mentioned that you're going to see obviously new characters, but you're going to potentially see some old ones. So I'm really curious if you're going to see some of the crew from the Rocinante or whatever it might be. I will say visually from what we saw, it looks amazing. It looks incredible. And yeah, man, I'm super pumped for this. This one's probably top of my list. The next one I'm going to go to is The Cube. So The Cube is an MMORPG shooter set place in the Atomic Heart universe. So personally, Atomic Heart was on my radar when it was about to come out. It's just one of those games, you know, everybody has them in your backlog and stuff. You just never kind of get to. Eventually I'm gonna get to it. Maybe I'm gonna get to it to prep for the potential, I mean, not for the potential, but when Atomic Heart 2 drops, I believe next year, as well as the Cube, which I also believe is next year. This looks really interesting. It looks like a true competitor to Destiny 2, which is something that really doesn't exist. As somebody who loved Destiny 2 for a long time, I got really tired of the repetitive nature of it, the constant nonsensical grinding you have to do to get random rolls. I got over that loop. I got tired of it. It felt like any new content they dropped was just the same reiterated garbage that they did before. And it just felt like if you're playing, the PvE didn't really mean anything or any stakes. It was really just trying to speed run through it so you can get the next roll. I'm hoping the Cube does not do that. I'm hoping that each gameplay, that each time you hop in, it is completely different and unique. It is this, you're on this giant levitating cube that is moving like a Rubik's Cube all at once. And apparently the technology to do that is immensely impressive and revolutionary according to the dev team. So I'm really pumped for this. Mudfish themselves, here's some quotes. They expect the interactive environments. Obviously it's going to be moved. That's going to be really interesting to kind of see things shifting as you're playing and sliding. Like, that's going to be pretty cool. And also deep progression and customization. So it looks like they're looking for, this is going to be a long time game. I did not expect this, honestly. When I did this, kind of blew my mind. Atomic Heart 2 did not. I mean, from what I understand, it was an okay game. It was okay. It was decent. And, you know, it probably did good enough to bring in, obviously, build Xbox's library and stuff like that. But the Cube aspect of it is what interests me the most. I'm like, wow, okay, that looks really interesting, really cool. I'm hoping and I'm excited that is going to be a true Destiny 2 competitor, because Lord knows we need a new Destiny, or at least a new shake or take on it, because with Bungie focusing on marathon and whatnot, I think that kind of genre of game is going to be kind of left in the dust. But anyways, the next one, which apparently people knew about this one, I did not have this on my radar at all. I kind of went into this super blind. I try not to look at leaks and stuff because I feel like it really ruins the excitement of the games that we could be having. So this one is 007 First Light. These are from the creators of Hitman, IOI Interactive. And this is a brand new Bond story. So this is really cool. So this is going to be a prequel to Bond that has never been told, basically how he gets the numbers 007. It's going to be an origin story, and it's going to be a third-person action adventure game. So pretty interesting. It looks like it's going to be similar to Hitman. I've never personally played the Hitman games. After the announcement of this and seeing that they're adding some Bond characters from the Daniel Craig 007s into Hitman now, I think I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna give it a try if everybody recommends it. So this is definitely one that's really on my radar. It looks visually incredible. I love James Bond. I love all the movies. I'm a big spy freak. Right next to sci-fi, it's spy movies and espionage. I love it. I'm really curious to see this new take on it. I'm curious how deep they can go with the story, as well as just the gunplay itself, like the customization and what you can do. And honestly, the set pieces, I feel like this is going to be an Indiana Jones type of game where it's going to feel like a movie. And as somebody who's a big fan of the original, I don't want to say the original, but the old school Bond movies, 007, not movies, video games of things like Agent or Die, or why am I drawing a blank on some of the other ones? But you know what I mean, the ones on the N64 as well as the ones on the GameCube. Those were really fun games. Those kind of help push the FPS genre forward. Obviously, this is not going to be an FPS. This is going to be a third-person action adventure, which is interesting to say the least. But yeah, super pumped for this. The next one we have is Den of Wolves. So these are from the creators of Payday 1 and 2, as well as GTFO. So this development company, they were originally part of the Payday series. They moved away from it because they felt like they lacked a little bit of creative freedom. They went and created GTFO, which I've played a little bit of it. I haven't played a ton of it, but from the little bit I've played, it is an incredible co-op game that is extremely difficult and extremely hard and really mind-bending. It kind of takes, obviously, the aspects in the co-op play of Payday, but makes it a little bit more into a horror Dead Space vibe, but also a lot more difficult. So I'm interested to see what this Den of Wolves game is. They said that they kind of wanted to go back to their roots of this high style and the mask, and they made it a big point that we're bringing mask back because a lot of people liked that that feature that obviously Payday 2 has, and with the not so successful launch of Payday 3, they have a window to really hone in and grab a lot of players. Just because I want to say even to this day, Payday 2 is still pulling more numbers than Payday 3. And Payday 2 right now it's not necessarily first like new player friendly. So if you want to get into it, there's a lot of things to understand and get into. So if you're always been interested in Payday 2, but always been a little overwhelmed by what's to come, Den of Wolves is definitely a game you need to check out. I'm super pumped to check out. Some of the things that about this game too is that it's going to be like a cyberpunk style. It's also not just going to be heist. They wanted to really emphasize that the game is not just going in and stealing data or money or whatever it might be. A lot of it is narrative driven, like maybe stealing specific things, stealing important items, destroying stuff, getting assessments and assassinations that you might have to complete. So that I'm actually really pumped to hear, because I like it when a game can diversify the objectives, because there's nothing more mundane than just doing the same thing over and over again. It seems to have a lot of variety. Like I said, they really wanted to hone in on that, as well as saying that it's going to be a sci-fi cyberpunk style, which by their accounts say that it's going to give them a little bit more freedom to do some more interesting stuff that maybe they couldn't do in the Payday series. So yeah, super pumped to see this. I love a good heist co-op game. Let's get into it. So this next game is really interesting. I'm super pumped from it. This is a completely different take from the other ones. This is not a shooter at all. This is Cosmic Invasion by Marvel. So as somebody who was a big, and still is, a big fan of TMNT and Shredder's Revenge, that game was awesome. It was a very nostalgic type of game for me, as somebody who used to go to the arcades with friends and play beat 'em ups like Turtles and like, oh my gosh, I can't remember, Turtles in Time. That's the game. It was really awesome to see them be able to recreate it, but also just make it a deeper, more customizable, a lot more fleshed out game than what you had in the arcades. But then they even added more modes and DLCs. And Tribute, I want to say it's called Tribute Games as a developer. Super Impressed by what they do. And yeah, they're doing this with Cosmic Invasion. It basically the same art style, the 16-bit kind of style. There's going to be a lot more characters. They're saying at launch there's going to be 15 characters. Obviously with Marvel, you have this whole roster of different heroes you can use. I love the classic art style. And they even mentioned that it's going to go a little bit deeper than what they did with TMNT. Also, to just kind of add to that, I don't know if I'll play it, but I am interested in it because at this point, I love Tribute Games and what they're doing. The Scott Pilgrim game, which also basically kind of follows the same style, but the Scott Pilgrim game actually looks a little even deeper in the sense of the RPG like quest aspect. So yeah, super pumped for those. And yeah, those are kind of like my 6 big heavy hitters that I wanted to dive deep on. Obviously, there's some other ones I wanted to bring up, things like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4, FBC Firebreak, a couple other ones. High on Life 2 was a big announcement. I loved High on Life. Yeah, there was a couple other ones, but these were the 6 ones I just kind of wanted to narrow it down to that I really enjoyed. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed the content, feel free to leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel to hear more gaming news, discussions, and things just kind of like this, just us chatting about video games, as well as providing reviews on games that I'm playing right now and games that are coming down the pipeline. So yeah, we got a lot of stuff. We are loaded for the year. I already got a laundry list of games that we're going to play and games I'm going to cover leading into the end of this year, now that we're at the halfway point. So if you're interested in stuff like that, please feel free to, like I said, subscribe, ring the notification bell. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, everybody.